the most epic looking suits of armor I have ever seen. This one is for the teacher who passed me the math test face down and didn't think I was going to become successful. This is for 9 times 9 equals 81.
You will never amount to anything. We shall see, brother.
Let's go! Alright, what's going on everyone? This is Zen here from Zen Multiverse and I hope you're having a great day. So we have a brand new exciting book to do and it came out a while ago, but it's about to finish. So I wanted to do this series on Avengers Tech On, and this is by Jim Zub and Kamba. So let me just say from now that the story is different and it's a breath of fresh air. So let's start with the story itself. So we're opening up with the panel where the Avengers are going against Thanos, right? The normal story that we know, they're going against him, and Thanos is winning, but amongst all odds, which the Avengers do, they beat him and they destroy the Infinity Stones, right? So then we're back on Earth, and Captain America is making this really powerful speech about um, just giving their respects to all the people they have lost and that they will overcome. And Spider-Man and a whole bunch of heroes are there. They're listening to the speech amongst citizens as well. So as that's happening, Friday comes in and she's the AI system for Tony Stark. And Tony Stark is like, "What? Like, I'm pretty busy right here." And she's like, "There's a surge happening, right?" And then we get a panel shift and it goes to Spider-Man, and Spider-Man's spider sense is going, it's not tingling, it's going crazy, right? Because he senses some danger is happening, right? And then it shifts into parts of this building that's literally falling down, right? So everyone springs into action, right? Spider-Man springs into action, and a couple others spring into action. And they're basically like, who could have done this? And out of nowhere, we see the Red Skull. And the Red Skull doesn't just look like the normal Red Skull, right? He looks like he's empowered, right? He has this plated armor. He's looking buff. He's looking brolic. And he's like,
Yeah, Captain America.
and he's talking to them, and he's giving his little mini speech to Captain America and to Wolverine, and Wolverine is just like, but like, shut up, my boy, because I'm not down for this right now. And as he's talking, then Spider-Man shoots a web right in his face, right? He shoots it right in his face, and they start to get into this little mini battle, but Red Skull didn't come alone. He has these kind of, I don't want to say soldiers, but these Orochi based servants, right? And they seem to have this technology that does something. And what it does is when they shoot it at people, it turns them into creatures, and those creatures then will serve the Red Skull and that little army. Which is pretty intense too. So as they're fighting him, uh, he's talking and he's saying,
I may have not had the power to shift or destroy the whole universe, but I have the power to do this.
so he says something that is very, very reminiscent to what we heard the Scarlet Witch say in House of M when she said no more mutants. But instead, he says
No more power.
powers. And we get a panel shift into the Thing, Storm, um, Miss Marvel, as their powers are fading and going away. The Thing, he starts to revert back into his human form. Storm doesn't have her connection with the weather, and Miss Marvel, her powers are starting to wander and waver. She was stretching at the time and enlarging her arm, and now it's starting to shrink into normal form. And then we get a scene where we see Spider-Man, his spider sense is no longer going crazy and awry, and he's like, my headache has stopped. And then Wolverine is on the floor in pain, right? And we're gonna talk about that later. Why is he in pain? So it's like pretty intense what's happening right now. And Captain America, he goes back into his regular form. He doesn't have the super soldier serum, so he's a slender guy, right? A slender guy, a little bit shorter. But you already know what makes Captain America, right? His personality, not really the power. So he's still standing up to the Red Skull. He does not care, powers or not. He's like, I'm ready to do what I gotta do, and that's it. Which is why I love Captain America. And as that's happening, Red Skull is like,
I'm not going to kill you right now, but I'm going to do something.
so he shoots a blast, and out of nowhere, T'Challa, the Black Panther, kicks him right in his jaw, right? and he starts to fight him off. He doesn't have powers, but he has Wakandan tech. Shuri's also there as well, and their plan is to just get the heroes out of there. Right? They know they can't win this, so they get them out of there. So they do, and the servants of Red Skull are basically like,
they're getting away.
and he's like, well, I wanted to destroy them here, but got to be patient, basically. So we next get the panel where they make it to the Avengers base, right? And they're talking and they're just like, what just happened? And Tony is like putting a lot on himself. He's like, how could I be so smart, but also at the same time be unaware, right? And Black Panther's also saying things of this nature too. And everyone is basically like, don't blame yourselves because you couldn't have known, right? But of course, that's not good enough for them. And as they're talking, there Tony Stark is like, I have to figure out a way. I have to analyze this and then come up with a plan. And then lo and behold, Spider-Man has a piece of, I think not a piece of the shard, but a piece of something that will help them to analyze where the Red Skull is. So as they're talking, they're developing a plan. And one of the things that we do see, remember we were talking about Wolverine. Wolverine is kind of like he's like in a fluid chamber, right, to help him stabilize. Because the reason why he's in so much more pain than the others is because he has adamantium bonded onto his skeleton, but he doesn't have a healing factor to counteract with that. So he has number one adamantium poisoning, and number two, those bones are way too heavy for his physical capacity to be able to hold, right? So they're talking like, how long does he have? And they're like, I don't know. And Shuri's like, just going by everything, his chances are of survival, right, or of anything working, are below 10%, right, which is pretty slim, right? And it makes sense, right? He has adamantium bones that weigh a ton, right? Not a literal ton, but it weighs a lot. And he has the adamantium poisoning throughout his body. His body is rejecting everything, right? It cannot handle it. So they figure out that the Red Skull is basically in Japan, right? So they go to Japan and they speak to, the forces of Japan, and there they have the U.S. forces there too. So they collaborate and they talk about a plan, which is pretty cool. I like seeing scenes like this because it shows the interaction between the different nations, right? So Wakanda is there, Japan is there, United States, and they're basically talking about they find a place, right? That the Red Skull should be in this proximity, but not too far away, right? So while they're doing that, they devise a plan that it can't be a forward plan where they just go in there and make things happen. It has to be something where they're basically it has to be a stealth mission. So they get some troops from each of the different nations, small amount, right? And they infiltrate this facility where it looks like the Red Skull is siphoning energy from the shards itself. So they go in there, right? They sneak, they're doing their thing, and they make it in there. They bypass some systems and they make it in there. But lo and behold, out of nowhere, Red Skull's like,
You really thought I wasn't ready for this? You really thought that you would just come in here and I wasn't ready? You fool!
right? And it's funny, but it's not funny. Like, of course, why wouldn't he be ready for these things if he has these infinity shards, right? Infinity mirror shards. So he's fighting them, right? And his forces are fighting them, and they're winning, right? Why wouldn't they win, right? Number one, he has all the power. They have no powers. They're quite capable in their tactical ability, but at the same time, they can't really fight them off. But T'Challa still has his vibranium suit, and he says, "You know what? We're going to use their power against them because part of vibranium is to counteract, right? Counteract itself." And what he does is he he basically takes their force against it and just creates an opening for them to just go wherever they need to go. So they're fighting off the Red Skull, and they're not winning. They're just not winning. And lo and behold, what happens next is as they're losing, Red Skull is like, I'm gonna finish this, right? And he he takes the shards and he shoots this blast, right? He shoots this blast at Captain America, and you're like, he's donezo. Like he's done. There's nothing, there's no one to save. But we get Iron Man. He pops up out of nowhere. He creates the shield in front of Captain America, and we're like, what is that? Like, what is this multicolored kind of item thing going on? And behind Tony Stark, you see two silhouettes, and the silhouettes are in the form of what looks like Wolverine and Spider-Man himself. So I'm like, okay, so what's going on here? And so then you start to see a three panel where you see Captain Marvel, Captain America, T'Challa, and this armor starts to form over them, right? And the most epic thing have seen in a long time happens, right? We get this panel with all of them armored up, right? In their own kind of, I don't want to say Iron Man armor, but armor that um just really shows their style, right? And it's really cool because those two silhouettes were Wolverine and it was Spider-Man, and they all have the most epic looking suits of armor I have ever seen. And then it says to be continued, and I'm like, what? Like that's like there's no more. Like it is so awesome to see because number one, the art in the book was already amazing, but then when that scene where it's like Red Skull shoots that blast at Captain America, this little armor thing comes in front of him, and then it looks like they're transforming into Power Rangers or something like that. But their armor looks absolutely amazing, team. It looks amazing. Iron Man, he looks like Iron Man, and we've seen it already, right? But then to see the likes of Wolverine, Spider-Man, T'Challa, Captain Marvel, and all of them just like they're in their poses. Spider-Man's looking legit, right? He's looking legit. And we get that to be continued. Oh my goodness, team. Tech On is absolutely amazing. It's a fun book and it's a breath of fresh air. If I had to rate the book, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. And I'm only giving it an 8 out of 10 because I don't know what's going to happen next. And there's more story to be held, right? So yeah, we're gonna catch up with this, right? This story for Tech On number 2 next week, Monday, same time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, I'm getting hyped because I want to read it and I want to read number 2 and I'm going to read number 2. So I'm ready to tell you the story for number 2. But go out and buy Tech On. Absolutely amazing book. And yeah, this is Zen from Zen Multiverse saying peace, love, and prosperity. If you're enjoying the content, you know what to do. Drop that like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share the video with like minded people, and I'll catch you all later for the next one. Later, everyone.